Welcome back to Marketing 3007 Online. This video is going to be about the role plays that you all have to complete with another classmate in your section for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's not just going to happen once. So if we look at the first two assignments we did, the first one was in the discussion board. It was a written assignment. There wasn't any video recording required in the online section. And the second one was a direct interaction with your professor that was static, not live. And that was submitted using the Bongo learning tool, the Bongo assignments tool. And you were able to do that anytime you wanted and answer the questions that the system prompted you with the professor's recording. Now, for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6, the idea being here is that you get comfortable role playing with somebody else. It can't be with a recording. It has to be actually interactive. So even though this is an asynchronous online program and it will remain that way, because this is a sales course, there is part of this course where you are going to be required to do some stuff live. So this would be for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6, but we're making this very flexible. You are to find a partner in your section, somebody that you know. You must know somebody in the section, partner up with them, and then for these assignments, you guys can arrange a time each of the weeks when these assignments are due to meet in Zoom, and we'll also allow Google Meet, and go back and forth interactively live with your role play. But it can be any time you want. So the course is still considered asynchronous, but you do have to figure out in this particular online course how to line up your schedule with just one other student in the class. That's it. And then as we outro the course and do your final role play with your professor, that will be done in a variety of ways with professors. Some might use Bongo, some might use Zoom, some might use Google Meet. It's a preference thing, but that will also be live with your professor at a time that works with your schedule. So we're still maintaining an asynchronous environment for you. But for these role plays, we're going to have them all set up in the same way. And you're going to use Bongo to submit your video, even though you're not recording in there, only because Bongo is the one tool we have attached to FOL that will allow a file that large to be sent to us. It's not something you can really send to us via FOL email. And the Bongo tool also allows you to put your groups into that if you want. So here's how it's going to be set up. And this is how all the online sections are going to do it. And each of the 4 role plays for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6, this is how they're going to be done. So in your section, you must find a partner. Just one person that you can work with in terms of scheduling to meet for these 4 activities, these assignments, prior to the deadline. It is an asynchronous course. You're not going to be expected to attend class at a specific time. You just need to find this one person. Choose somebody you know you can work with. Choose somebody maybe who you already know. That's why I put that in all caps for you guys. You've been in this. This is a course that takes place near the end of your program if you're in marketing. So you've probably gotten to know some of these people over the course of various semesters. And if you know somebody and you can partner up with them, that's what you should do. I'll show you an example of this in the Google Sheet that we have here. So the idea here that I'm recommending all the professors, and they may do it slightly differently. They may put it into Excel spreadsheet for you and then post the spreadsheet online so that you know who your group is. And also the idea being that you stay in the same group the whole time. So when we identify the group number that you're submitting to in the Bongo submission tool, because we're just primarily using Bongo for these 4 activities, not because it works really well for static interacting with video like assignment 2, but because it is attached to FOL and it's a great tool to use to submit large files, because you won't be able to send these via FOL email because of the file size limit. And it just keeps it more organized for us for grading as professors. It's much better that way for you guys to submit the videos in Bongo. So the first thing, though, is to get your partner and make sure you can meet that one time prior to the deadline. And the deadlines will all be in your FOL calendars in your respective sections. You could be watching this in any given semester if we're still conducting the assignments this way, and it's going to be the same every time. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the Google Sheet. So here is a Google Sheet for the role play partnerships that I'm currently doing in the section that I'm recording this video in the context of, but this applies to whatever section you're in any semester. This may look a little different. The colors may be different. You may have a professor who wants to do a separate role play spreadsheet for each of the 4 role plays. I'm recommending we don't do that. I don't think you need to switch partners every time. I think it'll make the process a lot nicer if you stay with the same partner each time. And that way, once you go through the first 1 or 2, it just becomes a lot easier for the rest of them. Because you do have 4 of these role plays where you are presenting to each other, classmate to classmate. So for the adapt role play in week 3, for example, you will present your approach, your adapt approach with the adapt strategy, the ADAPT, and the student will respond and react to you and possibly, give you some gripes, because that one's more all about questioning and trying to identify problems and things that are going on there. And you're going to keep talking with them and building the relationship and going along with it, preparing obviously to solve said problems with your CRM software solution. And then you switch places, and it should be the approximate time that we've asked for, and it should include the things we've asked for in the assignment. So when you do this each time, the idea is that it's probably better for you to work with the same students. So that'll be my recommendation. That's probably what you're going to end up doing. However it's going to be done, it is the student's job to go and find a partner in the class. You can see I just announced this the other day, and a bunch of students have already gone and done this. So you put your name there, and then you put the partner presenting first there. So the reason you might see other professors having the additional weeks is because they might switch back and forth in terms of who presents first. But once we see you each in the first one, then we'll at least know who's who based on that first video. So we really shouldn't have to have the additional spreadsheets, but some professors might for each of the role partnerships. But you're going to start with this one. And then the idea is that you're going to stay with the same partner the whole time. So partners can be switched, as we noted here. If necessary, they can be switched. But we don't want to encourage that. We'd like you guys to stay with the same partner. So once you figure out who you're going to be working with, and you've gone through the assignment, and I'll show you the assignments and all this stuff on FOL in a minute, just at the end of this video, you're going to go and record a video. And this is going to be in Zoom. We're recommending Zoom. If you want to use Google Meet instead, that's fine. But those are the 2 platforms that produce really nice MP4 recordings of your meetings, because Bongo as a platform will not allow you to go in live and interact with each other. The way we did assignment 2, it only works if the video is pre-recorded. The reason we're using Bongo for like the 3rd or 4th time, I know I repeat a lot of stuff, it's an online learning thing, is because that's the best platform, not just for us to be organizing these videos in and grading them in, and it does work very well for that. It's also great for submitting larger size files that FOL email can't handle. So that's why we're using Zoom to submit, or using Bongo to submit it. But you would use Zoom or Google Meet to record it. So you got to figure out a time that works for you. One of you in the group should be the team captain. So somebody nominate, and that can be the person that sets up the Zoom meeting each time and then has access to the recording after. You're not going to get more points for being the captain if you're not the captain or anything like that. You just need one person to submit the video. So once it's done, you will go and submit it on Bongo, and the submission can be done anytime prior to the deadline. So these Bongo rooms will be opened up, and you guys could even work ahead if you wanted to with your partner. So your biggest task going into assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6 is to find this partner in your section, in your online section, that you can role play with by recording that role play in Zoom or Google Meet. And then you get to this Bongo thing where you go to submit it. So I'm actually going to pull this up in a larger window here. Hang on. So this is what the screen's going to look like when you click on the Bongo link. If your professor is allowing you to just add your group right into assignment 3. And that would be the only week where we would do that, because once you get into this group with your partner, we'd like you to maintain that partnership for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6. If the professor has not allowed you to form groups, then you would likely go right to this screen. Well, actually, and you'd already be in a group. And if you get in there and neither one of those screens come up, they have to put you in a group. And that will be happening very shortly if that's the position you're in your course. So back to FOL here. When you look at the FOL content, and these should always relatively be in the same place in your FOL content for Marketing 3007, you'll have the course assignments, and then you'll have virtual classroom for video assignment submissions. So assignment 1, for example, you didn't have to do any video. You were on the discussion board, it got done. You're going to have an assignment after assignment 6, which you can see I don't even have showing for my students yet. We're not there yet in the course, especially if you're watching this video for assignment 3. That's going to be a written report type of assignment where you're choosing your product. And then your professors will also have the final role plays, which will occur after all these, where you will be meeting synchronously with your professor at a time that works for you. And that will either be done in Bongo or Google Meet. And some professors still prefer to use the Google meeting room in the virtual classroom here, the Bongo, sorry, not Google, the Bongo meeting room there. So there's a few different options for that. And I don't demo that in these videos because your professor may choose to do something different depending on how they want to do it. And they just send you a link and you meet them there for your in-person role plays. But for the ones you're doing with your classmate, which are 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you go in, let's just take assignment 3, for example, and look at the instructions. Each of them will say, you are going to be role playing with a classmate. And these instructions emulate the same instructions that the face-to-face students get. So we need to achieve the same course outcomes and have our online students go through that same experience, but we don't have a classroom where we all come at the same time every week and happen to all be in the same place right then. And we can just pick somebody in the room and role play. You have to find somebody in your class that has a similar schedule in an online section and choose a time. And it can be a different time each week. It doesn't matter. You guys can decide between you and your partner when you want to do it each week. And as long as you record a video before the deadline, and that's going to be done with Zoom or Google Meet, which I'll get to at the end of this video. If you want me to show you how to demo that, it's very easy. I'll do a demo of how it works. Once you get the video recorded, you're going to have an MP4 file. You're going to go from that assignment section. You're not going to be there. You're going to go down one below to the virtual classroom for video assignments. Right? So for assignment 3, for example, you click on this and you'd get to a submission screen that looks very similar to it should look just like this. There should be a video there that is the same video that I'm recording now, actually, to tell you how to do all this. And it will be there so you understand the assignment in case people miss the fact that this will be also posted as an external link. And one person in your group, the team captain you've nominated, that should be the person that sets up these meetings each time for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can switch back and forth if you want, whatever. And by setting up the meeting, you'll then have access to the recording and you can download the recording and submit it right here. So you're not actually doing anything in Bongo other than submitting something you already recorded using Zoom or Google Meet, which both make very strong MP4 recordings because those are the two platforms where you can be interacting directly with each other in video format. You guys have been to a Zoom meeting. You all have. You know what I mean. And that's the way it works. And we're not going to set up synchronous classes to make you all do that because it's an online course and you have to be able to do it when you choose to do it. So all you have to do is make sure that your partner can do it then, and then you go and click and you submit. So this screen that you're seeing here, when you go and click on your assignment, that's the type of screen you should see, unless it's the first one out of the 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and your professor was hoping that you would take the, there's the assignment screen, hang on, that you would take the group you already formed here and identified in the Google Sheet, and you just set up your own group there. It's very easy to do. You can just literally, if you go in and you see the assignment screen that looks like that, here, I'll make it bigger again. You just click join a group, and then you contact your partner and say, I joined group 25, or you scroll down, I joined group number 1, and then they join group number 1. Once you join a group, you can't get out of that group. You're stuck in that group. And if you can set the groups up like this, then what your professor can do is copy from week 3 all of the groups from assignment 3, all of the groups into assignments 4, 5, and 6. So then unless there's a problem in the group, you won't have to switch or set up your group again. Or you might get right to a screen like this where it tells you if you didn't see a place where you can join groups, your professor is going to be creating the groups for you. And once you're in the group, then you would be able to upload a video. So that's how it works. It's very simple. So recording the video, let's get to that. So as we saw in the previous slide, you're going to have one person that submits the video. This can be the team captain. This can also be the person that sets up these activities. So, and there's no link for this in FOL. This is you guys just using Zoom. It's really simple. So if you go to FOL, all the course assignments are here. They're all described here for 3, 4, 5, and 6, where you have to record you interacting with the classmate the same way you would have in the face-to-face section. You record the video off board, so outside of FOL in Zoom or Google Meet, and then you go and upload it to the appropriate assignment's Bongo room. So bongos can be used for different things. As you learned with assignment 2, that's a really cool setup where you get to interact with the professor asking you these questions as playing the role of your boss, but it's static. We don't turn back around and give you answers and stuff. AI could probably do that eventually, but that one is where you do go in and it gives you a question and stops, the video stops playing, and then you record your answer to it. You can't do that when you're supposed to be role playing with a classmate for weeks 4, 5, and 6. So that's why we're still using Bongo to submit it, but you're going to go and use Zoom to record it. Okay, and I'm saying Zoom because I think Zoom is the most accessible. It's the easiest to set up a meeting. You guys have had experience with it. It's generally just easy to use. If you have somebody in your group that really prefers Google Meet and they want to set it up that way, it doesn't matter to me as long as I can see each of you in the recording in video format talking live to each other, and I get it as an MP4 file submitted to these for submission. Consider this your Dropbox, your submission box for the videos. You put your script in the submission box, you put the video here. So for my Zoom demo, which is starting right now, you should all have an account. I mean, this is 2024, your business students. I'd be surprised if you hadn't used Zoom before or didn't have an account, but someone in your partnership is going to have an account they can sign into. So they would go to Zoom. Mine's reverted to zoom.us, even though I'm in Canada. I'm not sure why. Zoom.ca, Zoom, I think it all goes to zoom.us. Sign in. So click sign in, and then you would sign in with your sign-in information. If you haven't used Zoom in a while and you forgot your password, just go down there and click the link that you forgot your password. I obviously use Zoom often enough, especially with my Fanshawe email, that it signs me right in. And this is not the same as the Zoom you would set up from FOL. That's an educational version of Zoom. You could see, because it's the same email, my meetings for Marketing 3007 are in here that I had for this particular section. You might not see anything in there in other semesters, but you're just going to go in and schedule a meeting. So you just click the button to schedule a meeting. So you would log in, do this the same way, schedule a meeting. Now you and your partner have decided you get to meet any time through that whole period of days before this particular assignment is due. And you can call it whatever one it is. You can call it assignment 3. You can probably spell it right too. So assignment 3, and you set it at the time you decided to meet, and whoever the team captain is that's doing this, they would then have the link and the passcode to send to the partner, and you would both go in there. And we didn't really get into this too much in terms of the assignment itself. So the idea behind all these assignments, let's take assignment 3, for example, because that's the one we've been talking about the most, is that you have prepared for this week an adapt approach. You've set up kind of a few questions you're going to ask them, and then how you're going to go through the DAPT to kind of react to their questions, the answers they gave you, and they'll be reacting to you and giving you like conceivable answers. Like don't start being ridiculous with each other and mess up the whole practice. Assume this is the real world and you'd be honestly answering people when you're doing these things. So one person would do this and get your answers. You guys would go back and forth with each other a bit, and then you'd switch roles and the other person does it back to the other student. This should be happening in each of these role plays. So if you look at the course content, and they'd get more robust each time for assignments 4, 5, and 6, and all the assignment descriptions are in there. You're going to do the same thing each week. You're going to set up this Zoom meeting, and if it's 3 to 5 minutes of presenting for the two of you, you should make it at least 15 minutes, right? Just to make sure. I would just leave it set at an hour, honestly, but you can set that to 0 and then make this 15 minutes, but it's not going to help you in terms of the file size. It's only going to give you the recording for as long as you were in the meeting. Once you end the meeting, so I would generally just leave it set to an hour. You don't have to start making things harder than they need to be. You could make it a recurring meeting if you wanted. If you're going to meet at the same time every week, I think you'll end up meeting at different times. I would just do each one of these each time. It doesn't take long to set up because I just started it like less than a minute ago and I'm already down here. Don't make a waiting room. Passcode's got to be on there the way it's set up. And then always. So when you get down here to video, you want video on for the host and your partner every time. So you're going to be the host, your partner's the participant, or whoever the team captain is. You can leave audio on for both, although you shouldn't be telephoning anything in because then you would have no video, but you can leave that set to both. And then finally go down to the show options and automatically record meeting. You got to remember to do that every time. It can be on the local computer. So on the local computer at the end of the meeting, I think it prompts you to just save the file. I always do it in the cloud. And then when you do it in the cloud, after the meeting's over, you go log back in, or you're still going to be logged into Zoom. You just click on recordings and transcripts and it should be there. And that's it. And then you save it and the meeting's set up. So I don't want to spend too much time on this in this. This was more about just teaching you how this assignment is to be delivered and to remind you that you need to find a partner for this to work. But that's, if you haven't set up a Zoom meeting before, that's how easy it is. Passcode, you can get it to show. So you would copy that and then email this link and that passcode to your partner. You can add to your own calendar so you don't forget it. There's all kinds of tools in here you can use. And then once you're done, you go here and you should have recordings of it. So this will have some recordings in here that I've done, and it will download for you audio and audio video. So I want the audio video recording, obviously. So if you go here to download it and you download 2 files, you're going to have to deal with the fact that it's going to download both. And then you give me the MP4, okay? MP4. So Mississippi, Pennsylvania, 4. That's the file type I want. I don't want just the audio. I don't want this to turn into a thing where people think they can just send me the audio and get away with it. So you got to pay attention to the file management, which of course you learned in my Excel course. It's all about file management. And simply get the MP4 when the meeting's done. Go here, go to virtual classroom for video assignments, click on the assignment that you're submitting. And again, then you'll get a screen that looks just like this. And from that screen, you just click the button and you upload a video. You're not recording anything in Bongo after week 2, okay? You're just using Bongo because it's a great tool for this type of thing to keep you in groups and for one person in each group to submit the video. And the reason you're both going to be in the group with each other, obviously, is so that the other person can go in and check and make sure the video is submitted, right? So those groups that you formed in the Google Sheet, likely your professor for assignment 3 is going to let you go in and just join into your own group, the 2 of you. And that way you can submit anytime it's done and you don't have to wait for us to create the groups. And then once assignment 3 is done, we'll transfer the groups to each subsequent assignment after that. Okay, so that's the summary of how this is going to work. I just hit the mic. Hopefully that didn't make a big noise. Just to review again very briefly, the whole idea here for assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6 is you got to find a partner. The idea is to stick with that partner. Your professor is going to have some sort of method, usually a Google Sheet. They might do it in Excel themselves and then send it out to you as a list, but I would recommend the Google Sheets because you can all go in and edit it yourselves and then put your partner's name in there. Then you're going to record each of the assignments, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have all those instructions in FOL as it pertains to what you're supposed to do, and that's what's in course assignments. And you're going to have prepared a script that goes into the submission box, usually about a week before the actual role play is due. That might start to compress a little bit as you get closer to the final role play that's going to be done live with your professor. But that's how that's done. And then once you submit, and you don't have to work with your partner on your script or anything like that. Like you could show them your script so maybe they can prepare some answer. It's up to you guys if you want to do that. I think these usually work better if you've kind of thought through a bit of a script and you just show up in your meeting and see what kind of answers they give you. And the expectation on the other end is that the partner you chose, again, as I already mentioned, gives you some realistic answers. Okay, and then you're going to do that for the next 4 assignments. And that's why it's good to pick a partner that you're going to want to work with. So you should have a sheet where you can go add that. You definitely do in my class. And if you're watching this in fall of 2024, boy, there's still quite a few of you that apparently don't read my emails because these instructions were really simple to go in and just get into a group. So the rest of these guys will now get this video and then they'll see how to go in and join a group and they're going to know what we want them to do in terms of recording the meeting and they can go and do it and submit it. If you don't want to use Zoom, I do offer the option of Google Meet. I will accept either one of those because I know those produce and generate really good MP4 videos that I'll be able to watch and grade, which is what I'm doing once I get. So Here, if you want to pause the video here, if you like to use Google Meet, this is how easy it is to make sure it's recorded and then download the recording after. I'm not going to do a demo on Google Meet. I prefer Zoom. Either way you do it, it doesn't matter to me as long as I get the MP4 file submitted to that assignment. And when those assignments come due on their deadlines, and they will, so when you have, like, this will have a deadline that I can set, assignment number 3 here, assignment 4, 5, and 6 the same way, that I can set in Bongo. And if you go to submit the video and the thing's already closed, you're not going to be able to email it to me, and there won't be a submission box for it. So you don't want to be late for these things. They really start adding up. This one's only worth 4%, assignment number 3. Assignment number 4 starts to break up the 2 grades with the script versus the part 2. This one's worth 10%. Okay. Assignment number 5, I think, is worth 10%. And then assignment 6 is worth 13. So you got to pay attention to these and you got to take them seriously. You don't have to take any tests in this course, guys. But you do have to show us that you can put yourself into a situation like this and actually communicate these things. So it all comes out of the book, which you're trying to communicate. And then each time your in-class role will be with one of your classmates. This is 10%. So you want to think this through. If you guys want to practice with each other, I have no problem with that. Like, this one's 6 to 8 minutes. So your total video will probably be less than 20, really. If you want to practice with each other outside of the recording that you actually put into the Bongo submission box, I'll never know you did that, and it'll just seem that much better. It's okay. I'm all right with that. But that's how this is going to work. So, and that's what this video was about.